listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. Maybe it's good morning or good afternoon or good evening to you, wherever you are in the world joining us. We're so happy to have you here on USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and you're watching Presenting Pet Psychic Aminah. So what do you say we get her out here? Pet Psychic Aminah, hello, how are you?
I got to change my name and have a very long title.
Well, not many people can say they have that title, so it's very distinguishing.
True. Well, and people use all different monikers, mediums and this and that, and I just went with something simple. So.
Well, I think it's pretty direct and straightforward. I do think that medium, I always get confused. I don't really know what that means, but we did have somebody on here who explained it. So now I've got an idea.
Yeah. Dottie's really good about that and all that, but you and I did probably take good notes. So I try to stay in my lane. And when people ask me, well, what about this? What about that? And I was like, nope, talk to an expert. It's like being an electrician and they want to know a plumbing question. Well, yes, I know how the pipes go together and they run water. That might not be the answer.
Right. That's right. We need to have all the information about the subject.
Exactly. There's details that we're missing if we try to. I don't want to supersede anybody who's got a better idea of what they're talking about. So I just go with, I can refer you.
A good referral is worth a lot of money. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Save you a lot of frustration and mistakes. So you've brought us another great guest, and she's joining us from British Summertime, which I think is amazing because we have so many friends in the UK on this platform. I just love the UK. But before we bring her out, people are always asking, you've addressed this before, how did you know you were a psychic? And, can you go to school for this? Is there like a crash course for dummies to become a psychic? So
why don't you figure it out?
Yeah, exactly.
By everybody. I've been bit by a snake. I've been bit. The bear didn't bite me, but a few other animals, and you're like, okay, well, I can do that better.
So I'm just going to interview you, just a quick interview. So when did you realize that you had these special gifts that maybe people in your family or people in your circle didn't have?
I was pretty little. Animals were just kind of, I came out, and every time I saw a plant or an animal or anything, I just was, when you're really attracted to something that speaks to your heart, I think we get that realization pretty early, and people, it happens all over their lives, and they think they have to go another path. So I was really crazy about animals. My mom saw it right away and made sure I got to raise bunnies and in 4-H, and I got to show them and that type of stuff. But I was alone a lot because my siblings were older than I was. And so I would go and talk to God, walk around in the desert, literally, because there wasn't a lot of houses in those days, and talk to the plants and tell them stories and had a great time. And it was okay because for me, it was just make-believe. That's how I quantified it. It was just make-believe, and I had a great time doing it. Not very many people ran into me talking to myself. But it was a lot of fun because I got to make up the stories any way I wanted to. And the outcome.
That's wonderful. And so after you came out as being a psychic, how did you forge a career? Because you really have accomplished quite a lot. You're very educated, very experienced. People might not know that about you, but how did you pull it all together and incorporate this at the core of what you're doing?
Well, exactly as I'm going through childhood, my mom made sure each of us, there's 5 of us in my family, siblings, and each of us had something special we really liked. One of my sisters was a cellist, one was a teacher and loved home ec, so she did a lot of cooking, and my brother was an athlete, blah, blah, blah. We all... So my mom made sure we were in that field. So I have a picture of myself at 9 doing a talk in 4-H for rattlesnake bites. I grew up in the desert, so rattlesnakes were a really big deal when you went out and hiked in the desert. So I have actually a picture of that now that we've cleaned my mom's house out. So then I went on to, my mom's a public speaker, my sisters, of course, and my parents are teachers. So it was just a part of what we did, was get up and say, oh yeah, I have this. So a lot of public speaking went, and you had to pick a topic. So I usually picked animal topics because I was very passionate about it. And then I also found out I really was good with plants, which you would think I wouldn't be, because discipline in our house was go out and weed. Because my mom had a plethora, a huge yard, and is like, okay, I'm weeding again. And I'm thinking, I think this is slavery. Really, by the time you get to a teenager, you go, I don't think this is really discipline. I think this is trying to get the thing. But I learned a lot about plants. She shared that with me. And then of course you kill enough that you go, oh, well, that didn't work. But I was very interested in the real world. She made sure that when I was preteen, I was in wildlife sanctuaries. I was hanging out with the friends she had in all types of animal genres. I have a picture of me in Sunset Magazine, which was a really big magazine at the time, holding a green horned owl. And it was a friend of ours who was doing rescue. And again, I'm no glove. He's on my arm. And luckily I have these pictures now. So I had a plethora of experience because I was just really, really passionate about animals. So after a while you go, I know things firsthand that I don't know why I know them. Because people say, oh, you read a book? No. And so I just figured maybe I made it up, but I was always right. So, 99% of the time I was right, because I would back it up with education. And that's what I did. I went after that. I, of course, went through the 4-H program. After that, I went to college, got my degree. Not only am I a first responder and all of that education, but I also, because in an animal field, you're going to get hurt. You could get kicked, you could stepped on, you get bit. And if you can take care of it yourself, or at least help the people around, that was a really, really big deal. So I have all that training and making sure that I was working with a plethora. So the last thing I did was work in a wildlife sanctuary. It was my second or third, and that was prior to me opening my own business, is what I mean, the last thing. So I was really, really passionate about working with the tigers. We were doing enrichment, and we can talk about that another time. But it was all about making sure that animals who live in cages have huge behavior problems. Because imagine if you just lived in your bedroom all the time and people slid food under your door or something like that, but you didn't have any enrichment, you didn't have a television, you didn't have things to do. Wild animals in captivity have a huge problem with this, and to keep them healthy, you need to create games and enrichment. And we had a great time doing that, because it was all about knowing these cats and monkeys and tigers and all the animals we worked with, and making sure that they had something to go find or hunt down, or a scent to follow, or that type of stuff.
Wow, quite a journey, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing it. I always think it's good.
I love learning.
Yeah, it shows you've got a passion about it. So thank you for that. And as I mentioned earlier, you brought us another amazing guest. And I don't know where you keep finding people one after another. They all have something really genuine and valuable to add. So I really do appreciate that, because that says a lot about you. So let's bring her out. Do you want to give an introduction to Catherine?
Yeah, Catherine is, and then she can correct me, is this fabulous owner of this wonderful, her website is Muttleys, and we got a banner going on about Muttleys, for those of you not on the camera and just listening to us. So Muttleys in safe hands. This is a canine and pet first aid courses and training, and she's going to get into all of the things they do. They run classes. Again, Nottingham is what's on her website, and she can elaborate on that. She's a pro trainer, approved pro trainer. So I always suggest, when you really want to hear more about what we all do and that type of stuff, go to our websites. At least I know my resume's there. So Muttleys, Muttleys.me.uk is her website. And I'm just thrilled to have her tell us how she got into this and what she's doing. So,
all right, without further ado. Hi, Catherine. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Great.
So
tell us more about how you got started, please.
Okay, well, originally I'm from a HR background, but I always loved working with, I always loved
Catherine,
being around animals.
I'm gonna stop you for a minute. Is there any way you can get closer to the mic, or can I talk you into earbuds? Because we can hear you, but it's really quiet.
Is it really quiet?
There.
That's better. That's better right there.
Kiss the screen.
Maybe
You're perfectly shaped. Your beautiful hair is just perfectly shaped like a frame. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you're saying, and I can only barely hear, so I can't imagine what everybody online is going through.
Okay. So you want me to speak louder, or?
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, originally I'm from a HR background, but I always loved being around animals, and I just got to a point with a HR where I thought I was getting to the point where I didn't really even like people anymore. So I thought it's time for me to do something else. So I trained as a dog groomer originally. So initially I did dog grooming for a while, but I actually developed a bit of a problem with my eyes. I have very dry eyes, and I was scratching them with dog hair.
Ouch.
Yeah, because there is something called hair splinters. I don't know if you've heard of it. I think hairdressers get it as well. So when you clip the hair, it kind of sticks to parts of your body. You can get like splinters in your elbows and stuff. But for me, it was going in my eyes. So I had to have a bit of a rethink, really. And I was already doing a little bit of dog walking, and I loved being outside, even in all weathers, really. So I kind of went down that avenue, and it's kind of just developed from there, really. So I do dog walking and also look after people's pets when they're on holiday. So cats, reptiles, birds. I've had ferrets. I've looked after all sorts of animals. And then also during lockdown, obviously we weren't allowed to work for about 3 months. So I actually needed to redo my pet first aid certificate, which is something we don't legally have to have it, but obviously it's a really good thing to have if you're working with animals. And I couldn't find anywhere locally. So I actually decided to train to become a trainer myself, because it is something that I'm really interested in anyway. I'm really passionate about natural health and helping our pets as much as we can, really. So I trained for a company called Pro Trainings, and now I deliver pet and canine first aid courses.
That's wonderful.
It definitely is. I have a question. I just want to jump in here. So I'm going to maybe embarrass myself, but I wasn't aware that you actually could have a certification in first aid for pet care. I think that's outstanding. What is involved in that whole process, that learning, that training?
It's actually very similar to, to be honest, I've never done human first aid. I have no knowledge really of human first aid at all, but apparently it's very similar. So you learn CPR. So we have a mannequin dog called Casper, and you learn to do resuscitation breaths and CPR on him. So it's quite realistic. We do bandaging. We cover everything from pet-proofing your home to parasites, what to do in a road traffic accident, stick injuries, all those sorts of things, really. So it's also about keeping your pet safe in the first place, so like preventative measures, because not everyone is, I think it's probably different over there because you have it's a lot hotter. But over here, it's only recently, we've not been used to these temperatures. So now we've got really extreme temperatures, and people just aren't really aware how dangerous it is to walk your dog in that heat, because it's something we've never had to deal with before. So it's just spreading awareness really as well.
Well, and so many people, what you brought up is so important. So I'm a certified first responder. So I know exactly what you're talking about, besides, and I did that with people, because I was protecting people in the wildlife world, because as you know, you're going to get, it's called kicked, scratched and bitten and all that kind of stuff. So what you're talking about as a pet owner, especially if you're going to have a whole pack, you should, and that could be a hamster, a cat, and a dog. Yeah, that's your pack. Having the skills you're talking about are so life-saving. saving, because you're going to call 911. They're not going to necessarily have somebody who can do that and know where palpitations need to be. But I really want to center on right now what you said about how hot it is in your part of the world now, and how unprepared. Well, I grew up in a high desert, so hot ground was, I mean, it would burn through your tennis shoes, and when we would play sports. So having paws with nothing but calluses is so crucial. What do you recommend? What are you guys, because you've just finished the course, and mine was years ago, making sure that you're protecting. People don't realize they will really sear off those paws, and animals live by those feet.
Yeah, particularly if people are taking the dog to the beach, because the sand obviously gets a lot hotter quicker than the pavement. And also artificial grass gets a lot hotter than your normal natural grass. But really, if you're at a stage where you're thinking the pavement's too hot anyway, I'd say it's probably best not to walk your dog anyway. It's just not worth the risk. Especially with flat-nosed breeds like French bulldogs and boxers and pugs. It's really, they have a little difficulty breathing anyway, so compound that with the hot weather, it's just it's really quite dangerous.
Yeah, panting is great, but it's not enough with the short breeds. In the breath, they don't get that circulation that a longer shepherd or the mastiffs or something like that have the bigger noses. So these are things to really, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, because it's getting hotter every single year, and I still see people out walking their dogs.
Yeah, go after sunset, like an hour.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
A question I have, you see this all the time on Shark Tank or other shows where people have inventions and they have little shoes for dogs. What are your thoughts on that?
The little shoes, is it more for the cold?
I think yes, for the cold, for the heat, for fashion. I'm not sure. I just wonder what your thoughts are about it.
My thoughts were, I mean, you can get Crocs for dogs now. I'm not quite sure what they're for, but they're quite cute. But I think really on the whole, they don't particularly like, I mean, if you've ever put shoes on the dog, even if they had an injury, they tend to not really, it's quite difficult for them to walk properly. But I think there is circumstances when dogs are used to it and it's freezing cold weather and it's snowing, yes, but really anything for the heat, you probably shouldn't be walking your dog anyway, or use some sort of you can get paw wax if you're concerned about your dog's feet. Yeah, but that's really mainly for winter.
And you'd need to train Dr. Jacalyn to the boots. So snow, hot, cold, whatever you're doing. Collars are a little easier. There's not a lot going on in the neck, and they've got a lot of fur and that kind of stuff. But feet, it's hilarious. I'm sure, go to YouTube, and there's the most hilarious videos of going, what is this, and how do I shake it off, and that type of stuff. And cats, the same way. You need to bring them in. You need to have them in a cool barn with a breeze going through, or something where they can get away from the heat, because they can get heat stroke the same as people. They don't sweat like we do. We sweat, and that's a part of our cooling down. If you got a big thick coat, and especially if you've got a double coated dog, you're really going to struggle with not getting enough water. So do walk at night. And put a light on their collar. If you put a jacket on yourself so you don't get hit by cars or whatever. There are ways to do this, and it's really possible to keep everybody exercised. Cats are going to need their paws covered and that type of stuff. But most of the time, the cats are even, because they're so independent, they're going to go to ground no matter what during the heat. The dogs might not think they have that choice because their family's up and busy.
Yeah, I do think cats are a little bit more sensible.
Yeah, well, you're talking pack animal who's used to going to do what the pack's doing, and a cat who just doesn't give a darn, and he lives all by himself, and he'll go, hey, you don't have the right food anymore. I'm out of here.
Exit stage left. So just to clarify, the whole concept of clothing for dogs is there's really no basis for it. It's really just a human type of thing, or okay. What about dog strollers? Do dogs really like this?
I think if they've got, I've seen there's a few dogs around here that have strollers, but they're quite elderly. So for them, and they would struggle to walk, and they do seem to really enjoy themselves sat there. in the strollers being pushed round. But yeah, I think sometimes we tend to humanize animals a little bit. Clothing and strollers and all sorts of things going on.
I lived in Florida for a while, and I was very surprised because there's a very upscale mall, and I can't tell you how many people have like this whole carriage ensemble thing, and they're shopping, and the dog. I'm like, really? I don't know. I don't know. Does the dog like this?
Yeah, they tolerate it because their pack has introduced it to them, and they know it makes their owner happy because they feel all that energy and dressing them up, so they will tolerate it, and if it doesn't hurt or blinds them. But what I think, Catherine, I'm hoping you'll agree, is we also see obese animals that are like this, and it's not the clothes, it's the behavior. Yeah. So if you're dressing your animal up and putting him in a stroller, how are they getting any exercise? This is a hunting dog person thing, and you're making them a human baby.
Right.
I have no problem with that, but if you're going to create a health issue and or an aggression issue, anything like that, where a behavior is going to change unhealthy, then yeah, get them out of the stroller, get them out of the clothes. Otherwise, who cares?
Yeah, right, exactly. It's an interesting concept, I guess.
Yes, everybody loves a different way. And I'm not opposed to it as long as it's healthy for everybody, because there are truly, therapy dogs are terrific. But what if your person needs a different kind of relationship and really resonates with a dog that's all dressed up? Well, what's the harm? No big deal. As long as he's being healthy, he gets exercise. I don't care if you put a T-shirt on him that says Raiders on it or a bonnet on his head. As long as they're not choking or hurting or in any danger of getting injured, the same as any child, then you know what? Do your thing. Go for it.
Yeah, as long as they're happy and healthy.
Exactly, and everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. We're going to take a quick break and come back. We've got a lot more to talk to Catherine about, especially how you work with your clients and what that whole process looks like, and who you're really a good fit with, like who you like to work with, so that people can start reaching out to you. So we're actually going to watch a music video of someone who was on earlier this week. Her name is Madeline Chan, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her when we come back. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio.
What you're giving me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this is how I live. Ever closer now. Just follow love, and love will take you there.
Well, technology isn't always what it's supposed to be, is it? It just went off.
Where was that song?
I was like, follow love. Yeah, that's follow love.
Okay.
I guess the Friday gods were saying we can only follow love so long. Maybe
we were just exuding too much love, and it was overwhelming the mic.
Circuit breaker.
That's what pet people do.
Yes. Welcome back, folks. That was obviously, I don't know what happened there, but it happened. That was Madeline Chan, Follow Love. And this is USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. We are here with pet psychic Aminah and our guest, Catherine, who's joining us from the UK. So, Catherine, I'd love to just delve a little bit further into the type of services that you offer. We know about the dog walking and pet care and also pet first aid. So tell us, if you would, how you typically work with someone and who you work with. Is it people right there in the general area? Will you travel? How do people find out about you, etc.?
Okay, so with the dog walking and pet sitting, that's obviously more local, and actually, dog walking wise, I'm full. I couldn't really take any more on at the moment. Although if there is anyone, excuse me, in the area who's looking for a dog walker, I am in a network with a lot of other dog walkers who I know personally, and they are reliable. So if anybody was looking for a dog walker in the area, they're welcome to contact me. I can put you in touch with someone. With regards to the pet first aid, I was running them by Zoom during lockdown, but now I'm running actual live classes in Nottingham, in a lovely venue we've got in Nottingham. I am going to go back to doing Zoom again, so theoretically anyone can join from anywhere in the world if they want to, but I have put it on hold for the moment because I found that people are booking on the actual live classes but not the Zoom, so I think maybe they're a little zoomed out. So I'll really kind of just be doing, just for the while, probably up to Christmas, actual classes in Nottingham. But if anyone wants any advice on pet first aid or pet first aid training or the best place to go, I'm more than happy to help anybody who wants to reach out, you know. That's
fantastic. Fine. Thank you. Isn't it nice to be able to say you can't take on any more clients at this time?
Logical problem. I know, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, please help. Well, and Catherine, I hope you'll consider this. You know, we can talk about it later, of course, but I have a new live broadcast starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. I was going to say next Saturday, but it's been next Saturday for a week. And at some point, it would be really terrific if you came on and talked about first aid and that type of stuff, because I really think I love to see us all network, and what you're doing in the UK will be applicable. And I'm staying all virtual, so these people are from all over, and that kind of stuff. And the networking is good because what you're doing is so important. Because if you have a tragedy and your dog chokes, your cat swallows something they shouldn't, and you don't swipe that mouth fast enough, which you won't, they swallow pretty fast. You're going to give life-saving tips, and I really think that needs to be spread. So thank you.
No, absolutely. And I just think every pet owner would benefit from doing at least some first aid, because you can't just ring an ambulance. Very rarely is a vet going to come out to you. And if they do, they're not going to be ready, like an ambulance. So you've got to know really what the best thing is to do. Right.
Catherine, when they swallow the wrong thing, it's time.
Yeah,
you don't have time.
A question I have for you is, how do pet owners know, let's say they don't have any first aid experience, how do you know, and Aminah as well, hey, I better go to the vet? Like, there's all different situations that come up with pets, but how do you know if it's something that, hey, this is going to pass, or he or she will feel better?
Well, I suppose Aminah would know, because
to err on the side of caution, unless you see the piece go down, if it is vegetable, it will, and it didn't choke them, it will probably digest. If it is bone, go to the vet now, because it either could get stuck in the back of the tooth or the jaw or the gums, or puncture the esophagus, or keep going and just puncture something. Bones are really, really dangerous. You never, ever give chicken bones to pets. Never, because they shard immediately. They're too small. If you're going to give bone, you're going to do something really large, like steer or cattle, or a femur of some dinosaur, because there are good parts of it. And right now, I know people are going to a lot of deer products like hide, that people are using deer as food and that type of stuff. So there are natural things instead of rawhide. Rawhide is like gum in the stomach.
I really don't understand why that's still being sold. I can't get my head around it.
I don't either. I don't know why it's not illegal, but somehow it's still out there. Heavily.
That brings up a good point, because I heard this today, that in the UK there are different laws and regulations around Roundup food, drugs, as opposed to in the United States. What about in terms of pet food, pet products? Do you have any knowledge if there's different regulations or restrictions over there?
There are regulations, but the way, and I could open a can of worms here, but it's better the marketing that people are allowed to use for human food as well as pet food is quite clever. So say if you've got a pet food and you could advertise it as high in omega-3, say it's salmon or something, and it might be high in omega-3 at the beginning of the process, and you're allowed to put that. The fact that there isn't any in at the end of the process, but you're still allowed to put is high in omega-3. So that's where you have to be careful. So I would always check the ingredients, see what the top ingredient is on your pet food. And if it's cereal, then I would be definitely looking at a different pet food.
Well, Catherine, would you say in the top 3? Because in the food industry, when I was doing that, it was the top 3. These are what is the majority of what you're buying. Everything else is going to be colors and fillers and that. But if it has something, just what she said, grain, rice, some bone crushed, don't buy it, because you just might as well just go get him some sand and add a little flavoring.
Why would they put bone in it?
Marrow is very, very healthy. Bone, the outside, no. So if you're going to get fresh from a butcher and you're going to get it large enough that it's safe to chew on, marrow is very, very, very good. But but bone itself, no. I mean, just what she said. If it says bean, rice, starch, something, then you might as well just give him bubble gum, because it'll kill him anyway.
So
what about, I don't know if they make these over there, but, and I'm putting myself out there, when my dogs were alive, I used to get these for them because supposedly it was good for their breath. Those greeny, chewy bones.
Yeah, greenies are fine.
They are.
Catherine, are you aware of greenies? You should have them there. They're huge.
So we have whimsies as well, which are very similar. Yeah, like a dental chew.
Yes.
It's just stuff really light. You don't really want to be giving your dog any weight-bearing bones either, because they're just too hard on the teeth. You could end up cracking a tooth as well. So if you are going to give your dog a bone, then make sure it's not chicken, it's not cooked, and it's not a weight-bearing bone.
Right.
Recently, I just saw, I forget where it was. It might have been on YouTube or something, but I saw someone giving their dog beer. Is this a good plan?
No. Is it to get him to behave? Because I've seen people slide them. You know, what is the pill when somebody has a nervous disorder or something, like a narcotic or something? I just gave him one of mine and went, well, are you trying to kill him? But he slept for hours. He could have slept forever.
Right.
It doesn't cross over. It doesn't cross over well.
So it sounds like there has to be some measure of common sense, right? That your dog, your cat, your pet is a living being, and you have to respect it as such. And, something else that I saw people do is give their dog popcorn, which I don't think is good for the intestines. I didn't say anything, but any thoughts on that? How about beer and popcorn? I don't know.
Soak the popcorn in beer? Maybe it's... Yeah. The problem I see, Catherine, and I loved your input on your side, is it's a choking hazard for children. It's going to be a choking hazard for dogs because it's dry. It's so dry that you're going to possibly get it stuck in the throat. You're going to get it stuck. I've actually seen, some dogs, like people, woof their food up really fast. Well, it does get into the lungs. And you got all kinds of infections, and you got a very big vet bill coming. So it is just like your children, just like yourself. You have to be careful on what you're feeding. If you cannot dissolve it, popcorn is not a dissolvable thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
agree.
that makes sense.
If it's something like salted popcorn as well, that's which is not going to do them any favors either.
Or butter.
Or butter, or if it's sweet. Yeah.
Here's another question I have. I mean, I feel like I know the answer, but I just have to put it out there for anybody watching live or on the replay. I have seen this where, you have the parent, presumably the parent with the stroller with the baby, and the dog leash is attached to the stroller, and they're jogging along with the small tiny dog who can hardly keep up, or someone's riding their bicycle and they have two dogs, I don't want to say about who this is, two dogs attached with leashes while the person's riding the bike and the dogs are supposed to keep up. I don't know. It seems like it's not a great plan.
I think it sounds a bit like an accident waiting to happen, really.
So I can address this because I did it. My shepherd and I competed in agility. So it's all about stamina. It's all about being quick. He was a German shepherd. But what you learn really fast if you're doing it right is like every athlete, and luckily I'm my coach's daughter and that kind of stuff, is they don't have shoes. And I can't put shoes on them because it's not safe. They won't get enough traction on the ground. So what you have to do is like any athlete, you got to go slow and you got to go a little ways and build up their pads and build up their pads and build up their pads. Because during trials, we were running in sand and dirt and sometimes grass, but mostly sand and dirt for the agility courses. So we're talking about A-frames and all this type of stuff. And I got a great funny story that I did with this poor dog. He leaped off the top of the A-frame. So the A-frame's this. So he's supposed to hit a mark and go up so they don't jump midway and then come down and hit the same mark. Well, I gave the command of go, pick up the speed to the next one. And he leaped off a 17 A-frame. And the entire audience went, oh. And then he landed in the soft dirt. And I was like, oh, my bad. I gave the command too soon. But anyways, it was hilarious to see this. And he was so thrilled. I'm going, Mom. Here I am. Oh, my God, I got him killed. Anyways, they've got to build up the pads. There are leash attachments that bikes can wear and they're here, and they have a bungee-like cord on it. So there's, it's not necessarily safe to hold on to a leash because you're going to get pulled off if he gets startled. You have to start out slow. You have to have the commands down. You have to have a really great relationship because cars are unpredictable and they will clip you or they will clip him. It's a lot of work. Like any athlete, if you're going to train for a marathon, you don't go out 2 days before and go, I'm going to practice today. And no, because your feet, your legs, everything's going to go. A dog is no different. If they have these dogs trained to be side to side there's great balance. My shepherd was on one side. I felt I really had to compensate and we really had to be seen. Fluorescent jackets, reflectors, only going in the daylight, all of this kind of stuff. And you're treating them as an athlete. It can be done. It can be done safely, but like walking with just a leash, you don't choke them and pull them down the street. A puppy who doesn't understand a leash, you have to train them. The same thing true with riding on a bike, competing, whatever the dogs are doing. It's great for the power breeds because the person is able to actually keep a pace that the dog needs as opposed to walking or jogging. You're more seeable by the cars because you're up higher than you are as a jogger. So pros and cons.
What are your thoughts if they're a little lap dog?
Never.
Okay.
Don't bike with them. You're going to run over them. And their legs, imagine their legs are like this. Even if go with a more middle breed, like a beagle, we still only have this much leg. So it's not a Pekingese, but a beagle. They're too small unless you're going to ride a tricycle. I don't know. You could go that fast because you see what I'm saying. The tricycle's the same size.
Yes,
and you go
right.
Like it, just go for a walk, people. This is not complicated because everybody needs that bonding. And I'll tell you, if you're depressed or sad or having a really bad day, take the dog for a walk. Go sit with the cat. You'll feel better if you're doing it right.
Question I want to have as we start to close out the show, have answered. What about the difference between a harness and just a collar? I see people down here where I live, everybody has the collar, no harnesses. So is that okay? Is it safe?
For me, I much prefer a harness, especially if you've got a dog that pulls, because the trachea is really quite sensitive. And if you've got a dog that pulls, some breeds such as Yorkshire Terriers are really prone to tracheal collapse. So you have to be really careful with that. that's why I personally prefer harness. And also there has been some freak accidents where a dog's ran into another dog's lead. And it's very rare, but on a collar, and it is literally broke the dog's neck. So that's why my personal preference is for harness, but it's got to be a good fitting harness. Yeah.
Thank you. Aminah?
Yeah, I agree with Catherine completely, because you are not choking. Choke collars, chain collars, or correction collars, whatever you want to call them, have their place with the right person who's not going, stop it, because you're damaging, what she said, the trachea. You're damaging that throat, and that doesn't come back. We don't have surgery for replacing dog parts, and that type of stuff. So you're damaging windpipe, voice box, throat, being able to swallow and everything. A harness is great, but you and I both know, and I'm sure, Catherine, you've had to deal with this, but there's a training process. If you've got a puller or a tugger or whatever, sometimes people use both so that they have more support on both ways. They can do a little bit of a correction, but they have the dog 99% on the harness. Talk to a trainer like Catherine. Talk to somebody who's really good at this type of stuff. Get the help you need. I mean, you can Google it, you can YouTube it, you can get a lot of tips on this, but remember, would you want a choke collar on you?
No,
make it personal.
I think so.
Yeah, make it personal. That does not look comfortable.
I love it. Always great tips. Thank you so much. Catherine, I'm going to spotlight you, and it's hard to believe the time has flown by, but what is the best way for people to get in touch with you, and who should reach out to you?
Okay, well, anybody really who is interested in pet first aid, or, even if someone's a dog walker or thinking of becoming a dog walker or wants to set up, I'm really more than happy to give anybody any advice on anything like that. They can get in touch with me on my website, or they can, in fact, my email address is on my website, but it's muttleysnottingham@outlook.com. Anybody who wants to reach out, I'm more than happy to help them.
Thank you.
I can talk about dogs all day long. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's been lovely meeting you, and I hope you have a blessed weekend. I know it's Friday night there. It's rather late, so thank you for joining us, Catherine.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Great.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Lots of great tips. One quick thing I just want to mention, some people I've known throughout time have dogs, and a way that they claim that's really great for training their dog is taking a coffee can and filling it with coins. And when the dog gets out of control, taking it up to their ear and shaking it so they stop moving. What are your thoughts on that?
They want to be deaf. Their dog. They want the dog to be deaf. Think about it this way. I always try to make things personal because I learn better. What would I do if I was disciplining a child, my child? What would I do if I was disciplining my mother or father? Well, that would be disrespectful and all that. Think about corporal punishment, and that's what the coins feel like to me, is that it has a negative connotation to saying, don't do this, but you're coming at it with the energy of, I am master, I am the God of your life, whatever, and you're going to do what I want you to do. What I recommend and highly teach over and over and over is come from compassion, come from actually loving your pets. Because if you don't love your pet, then you probably should rehome them, or, get training yourself and find out why you feel that you need to dominate an animal or the neighbor or your trees, and I literally mean that. I've seen people yank trees out of the ground and literally take out their bad day on them because they scratched their car or something. I'm thinking, dude, the tree didn't move. So we do this as people. We take out our bad days on things around us, and you might not think spiders and honeybees are important, but if you'd like to eat, you better leave the honeybees alone and not spray them, or, go get a beekeeper to come get them out of your wall or house or too close to your patio and somebody's allergic or not, and have the humanity to say they have the right to live. They have the right to be, because they've been put on this earth for a function. And it might be inconvenient to have rats in your house, probably. But there are humane ways. There's humane ways, as opposed to spraying deadly chemicals that will get your family sick also. Termites, the whole thing. I have no idea. When I see God, I'll ask him, why termites and mosquitoes? I don't know, but there must be a reason. There are ways to prevent being bitten by mosquitoes and prevent being, attacked by termites. And we're doing better every year on doing it naturally, on doing it in a better way than chemicals. Because if you look back from, after World War II on into the 70s and 80s, it was just chemicals, bleach and dye and blow them up and burn them. And we don't coexist. We never coexist. We feel like humanity seems to feel like they're in charge of everything, and it doesn't matter how much trash they throw out of their car, or that it doesn't biodegrade or anything like that. But I challenge you, please, everybody has a right to live. They were put here for a reason, the same as you were. And all you have to do is try to learn their language, or at least respect the fact that they do it differently. Sorry, my soapbox. I've had a lot of practice on this box.
I love it.
We want us to coexist. It
Yes.
is where we are. And yes, I have a little bit maybe different perspective. I absolutely adore black widows. They follow me around everywhere. And I adore rattlesnakes, and they follow me around everywhere. But I also have never been bitten except by a regular snake, and no poison. It was a gopher. And so I know what a snake bite feels like, but I also was in his space and that type of stuff. I was actually holding him for some children to look at him because somebody had found him. So I took him from the child, and then all the kids surrounded me going, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And as I'm holding him, he clamped down on my hand, and all the kids are going like, oh my God. And I was like, hang on. It's not that big a deal. It's like when I sew and I miss the fabric, because he was afraid. Did he die? No, I put him in a bush and he ran away. Since I met you, and we have to really be short because I've got a show after this, but this has happened now I want to say 3 times. I told you about the silverfish. I'm not killing anything, right? Everything is, there's a spider right over there. I've watched it for 2 days. Hello. Just tell
anyway, exactly. So I have a ceiling fan, and so there have been silverfish, and they're quite large, by the way. So I told you about the one, and it ended up curling up, and it was dead after a few days. I don't know what happened to it, but this other one was crawling around the ceiling, and I just looked up. I said, I'm going to go to sleep. And I'm just saying, just stay just stay up there, okay? So I wake up. This happened, I think, 2 weeks ago. I wake up. This has happened again. Where is the silverfish?
Right.
Where? Right on my pillow. My face is here, and the thing is right there. And then I go to get it. It's scarring all over the place. And I'm thinking, I took an oath not to kill. I took an oath. What should I do? And I came up with a great idea.
Okay.
I think it worked fairly well. I got my my, what's the roller thing you used to?
Yeah. That double-sided tape thing.
Yeah. So I got that, and I said, I'm just going to give you a quick roll. So I just went,
Well, and I keep those Christmas cups. You go to a Christmas party or some other party. I used to keep one in the bathroom. I love spiders. They eat all the mosquitoes and the bugs, the flies. I absolutely adore them. But I have a rule: not over my head while I'm on the toilet. There's just, there's this one space, just like you, not above my bed. So then I get the cup, and you simply get a little piece of paper, cover the cup, and go outside. Because I want the spiders to eat all the bad guys. That's fine.
Well, I just want to know why does it have to be on my pillow? Why? So you know what I've been doing now? Just true confessions. I am wearing all the time a giant winter robe. It goes all the way down to the bottom. I wrap myself in and I go to sleep. I pull up the collar like this and I'm like, okay, it may get in my hair. I don't know. I haven't gone to wearing a hat or getting a hood, but they seem to want to sleep right next to me. Okay. I don't get it.
It sounds like they're attracted to the fabric, because silverfish are really about eating fabric. I'm no expert on silverfish. Ask me dogs, cats, elephants, chimpanzees. I gotcha. Snakes, but silverfish, sorry, they're just too small. But they seem to go after fabric and sheets and your jammies and your rope. I'm just going to add that in there.
But guess what? I have another big pillow on the other side. There's a king size pillow. Like, hello, go over there while I'm sleeping. And
right. Well, and I love Skin So Soft. It's an Avon product. And I used it when my children were small. They're not going to lick it. But the thing is, ants and silverfish and all these things and spiders don't like it. It's something about the smell. So I would put, it's a baby oil. So
I've heard of it.
Toilet paper or a little cotton ball and go, and then for some reason, the ants would come in one of our houses into the faucet in the tub. That's gross. I don't want to wash that every time the kids want to take a bath. So I would just pour it on around where it attaches to the wall, because obviously there's a hole there somewhere an ant can fit. They hated that stuff. 2 months, they never came back. Try it. Maybe that
there it is.
For silverfish too. You'll have to report back in 6 months.
6 months. Come on. I want immediate action. Immediate action.
Well, they might, but you got to test. Don't do it. Do it. Don't do it. I don't know. Be the scientist I know you are.
I'm just going to get a hood and wear like a ski mask. I'm going to go to bed like this.
No,
come downstairs to breakfast. My mom will be like,
you know the saying. Call your Avon lady.
Call your Avon. All right, I will. And it's always a pleasure being with you. I'm just going to have a sign off right now. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Bridging Worlds.
BridgingWorlds.us. Everything's there. It's updated. It's all in my favorite lime green color. And of course, tomorrow, I'm doing my first Facebook Live with my new group that is on my group page. So join us, Bridging Worlds on Facebook, and we're going to talk pets, and I'm going to answer questions and just have a great time.
What time are you going live?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. I can't help you there. I was going to tune in.
You can't help me. No, I honestly, sorry, I didn't think of that. I've been so busy. It's like, get this one done, get that one done. So yeah, come to the Facebook, but I think it's 5 or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so I could take care of people back east and it wouldn't be too late for them. We should be around 5, but again, they have to join the page to be invited. It is free, but they have to join, not only come to my Facebook page, but they have to be invited to the other page.
The event. Okay, got it. All right, thank you, my friends. Coming up, I'm sorry?
You have a terrific week.
Oh, thanks. You too. Coming up right now, we have stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. So please stay around and join us for that. Aminah and I will see you next week. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye. Yeah.